Welcome back to the Dagger, everybody. We're your hosts, Ramsey Mackin and Rajan Rao. Our third co-host, Dylan Payne, cannot be with us tonight. He is recovering and he should be back soon. But we're here to continue what we left last week. We've been talking about the NBA offseason. There's been a lot of actions over the last week. Not too much development, but we've seen some new storylines develop. We watched a bit of summer league basketball, me and Rajan, and we put some more thought into what we think about the Western Conference. We only got a chance to talk about the East, so we're hoping to keep a nice round episode for our folks at home, and talk about the 15 West teams and how they might stand in terms of championship contention and whatnot, approaching next season. But we will be having an episode later in the summer to talk about our preseason predictions. But right now, I just want to talk about moves and upgrades. So that sound good, Rajan?
That sounds amazing, Ramsey.
All right. Let's start with the Houston Rockets, which I initially chose to start with because I wanted Dylan to be here, and Dylan is a longtime Rockets fan. But it's okay because in the episode that me and Dylan did, my bad, live after Game 7, we talked about the KD trade because that happened on that Sunday. So we talked about it for like an hour. And he had a lot of thoughts. He was very, very excited. And so, but I would like to talk about it with you, Raj, and let you know what you think about the Rockets or hear what you have to say. But before we get into that, just summary for the Rockets offseason moves. They've traded for Kevin Durant. They've also signed Clint Capella and Dorian Finney-Smith, filling in their roster extremely well. They've re-signed Steven Adams, Jabari Smith Jr., Fred VanVleet, among others. They've lost some rotation players. They've lost Dylan Brooks, Jalen Green, Cam Whitmore to the Wizards, Jock Landale, and they brought in Kevon Harris on two-way contract. I wrote that in for Magic fans who've heard his name before. But yeah, if you just take a look at this roster, this depth chart, the Rockets are extraordinarily exciting. They were, of course, the second best team in the West last year. I have no reason to believe that they got any worse, like at all. Obviously, their biggest need that I talked about extensively with Dylan on that episode was half-court offense and a go-to clutch scorer. And, at the end of games, it was either Şengün or Van Vliet or relying on one of the younger guys to get up a shot or draw up a play. But now you have Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant is still the most efficient mid-range scorer in the entire game. He's aged gracefully in all of these years. I think this is a perfect location for KD to probably finish his career. I think that's fair to say. And I think that he's going to give the Rockets not more than 1 year of contention. And they lost very little for him. I think Jalen Green's performance in that Warrior series, we all know, was abysmal. And Dylan Brooks was definitely a loss, but bringing in, or I guess Dylan Brooks leaving gives more opportunity for like Tari Eason and Jabari and other, especially Amen, I would say, to fill in the defensive role that he had. And
Yeah.
so that's some overview thoughts. I have a couple others, but Rajan, what do you think about KD?
First of all, I completely agree with everything you said. I think that KD brings such a versatility to that offense that allows these like great rim attackers to be able to be more of a threat. I think that I don't know the exact stats on it, but I'm pretty sure the Rockets were not a great 3-point shooting team, or at least not in terms of volume of threes.
Mm-hmm.
They now add that with the mid-range game of KD and that one-on-one scoring capability. And that, to me, the first thing that I think is Amen's going to have a lot more chance to get to the rim because the defense is no longer going to be able to just assume that they're not going to shoot threes that well. Now they have like a legitimate, like you leave him open, this game's going to be over for you type of guy in KD. And that's what he's done his whole career. I mean, that like classic KD pull up three where he'll take a couple dribbles and then just kind of size you up. And it feels like it goes in every single time he shoots that shot. And I also want to talk a little bit about the defensive, adjustment, because you're right. Dylan Brooks, as annoying as he is, I mean, I think he's the worst. Like personally, like I just remember all the LeBron like back and forth with him saying that he was better. That just was just so stupid. But he was a good defender. I think that what was the name of that the Lakers like defensive nickname this past season with Finney Smith something Van
Uh,
Vincent Van something Vincent
Vincent
Van
Van
Doe.
Doe. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. So I mean, like that, like Finney Smith brings another level of defense that I think it's worth it to give up like a defensive player for a defensive player, and then a much better scorer for Jalen Green, who kind of did not do
Yeah,
so
I
great.
already talked about Jalen's horrendous scoring in that series against the Warriors, except for that really good outlier he had. But yeah.
Yeah, I think this is great for the Rockets, and the only thing is like I don't know. You're right. They're not going to do any worse in the regular season than they did this past year. They are definitely inclined to, make the Thunder sweat a little bit about that first seed. But like, do you really think that this is enough to beat these other teams in the playoffs? Because I'm not saying that they're not good, but I'm like the gauntlet of the West is like just so scary. You have teams like the Warriors and the Lakers and the Clippers and the Nuggets we saw so this season that maybe don't jump out to you as like the number one team. I mean, the Nuggets definitely could be up there, but like the Warriors, no one saw them. I don't want to say no one, but they're seated so low, you don't think in your head, oh, how could a 7 seed ever beat a 2 seed? But they did. Where do you
Yeah.
think they stand in terms of actually making it out of the conference? Because having a really good team is one thing. And if you put the Rockets in the East, I would say it's overwhelmingly likely that they make it at least to the conference final, if not to the finals. But they're not. And they're facing this ridiculously hard gauntlet of teams.
Absolutely. And I think you hit it on the head. I think the top contenders in the West are of their own tier. It's the Thunder, it's the Rockets, it's the Nuggets. I think it ends there. I think there are other teams right on the outside looking in. I think the Rockets did a lot of good moves to establish themselves in that tier. But at the end of the day, it's the Nuggets and Rockets challenging the reigning champions who have lost literally nobody and have a bunch of young players that are only going to get better. But the same is true for the Rockets. I mean, you and I picked the Warriors to beat them in that series correctly because we understood that as good as of a defensive team this was, and all of their regular season prowess, they clearly were young, and you need to be battle tested to beat a team like the Warriors, who are the most battle tested in the NBA. So, um, obviously now I think with another year under their belt, playoff experience, and vets who have played in the playoffs a lot. Obviously,
And
KD,
one.
but also yes, KD, a huge winner. Obviously, they already had Freddie, who has an NBA championship, but he has more leadership experience. And then Steven Adams, Doe, Capella, who's just been in the NBA for a while. Like these are all great guys, and they, as I said, they didn't really lose anything. And in these acquisitions and this trade for KD, they've also created room for the rest of the players on their roster that they want to grow. And they dealt out players that wouldn't have a good fit on their team anymore. And so it's just a huge win. But to answer your question, I still definitely don't think the Rockets are better than the Thunder, but we're gonna have to see. And I think that they're knocking on the door for sure. And I think that in any given series, it's worth it to try to go all in a scenario like this because they're so close, and
Yeah.
we know how hard it is to win back to back. The Thunder would have to be the first team in nearly a decade to do it, and the the league just makes it so difficult. There's so much luck involved. You never know what could happen. The Thunder season could be completely different than last year. It could be like the Celtics last
Hmm.
year. We all thought they might repeat. So, this good move overall, though. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But a couple other notes on the Rockets. I would say I just want to mention that they have very flexible lineups. I like that they have these three centers, Şengün, Steven Adams, and Clint Capella, but I will say that's pretty rare, like very rare to find in the NBA nowadays. Um, it's
In a
very
league short of centers, like in terms of the amount of centers we actually have that are quality.
yeah, I completely like most NBA teams have one center they rely on, and then potentially a backup true center who gets minutes like that. It's very uncommon to see a team have three. More often, you'll see a team have one or honestly none.
Hmm.
But these are all three serviceable centers. Again, Adams and Capella aren't really starter quality on a playoff team anymore, but they are great in this exact role that they need to be. And so we could see double big lineups, right? With well, KD, you can call him a big if you want, but like if you put KD at the 3 and then Şengün and Adams, which we saw a lot of great two-man action with the two of them, I think that could be really exciting. But we also might see end of games where neither of them is on the floor. You might have DFS finish playoff games for this team. If they want, not that KD should ever be playing center, but like it's possible that we just see lineups without these bigs, and that flexibility is exactly what the Rockets are looking for and exactly what is so important in today's NBA. Teams like the Pacers and Thunder have proven that you need to, and the Timberwolves too, you need to be deep and flexible and have stars and have the perfect roster of talent around them.
Mhm.
And if KD is your guy, despite his age, I think that this is the. I'm not going to go there. I was about to say like the best, whatever, supporting talent. It's definitely not. But like, for what he could have asked for right now in terms of being able to contend and having a team rely on him to this extent, it is the best situation he could have asked for.
Yeah.
So
And to your point, like again, not having to rely on two paint scorers to be your clutch time uh scoring options, especially at the end of games when everyone's tired. Having the flexibility to be able to shoot the three, shoot the mid range, run some pick and roll, some more complicated pick and roll, and drive and kick, and kind of do more of what we see out of the Pacers and the Thunder. Right, a lot of the finals was great drives, and of course, some finishing at the rim. But it was really just how open. I mean, the Thunder were just so great at opening up the lanes for lob threats with Chet, or being able to move the ball around the extra time on the wing and get a three off. And more often than
right,
not, it went in. So this is just an all around like great move. And then you're right. Could you imagine having to go against like KD, Adams, and Şengün like on the last 2 or 3 minutes of a game? That is
um,
so scary to have to deal with both of those bigs that are just so physical in the paint, and then also have the threat of KD just one on oneing somebody.
exactly, right. They're lethal on both ends. And KD, he's not like A plus defender, but with what he's being asked to do, which is guard, maybe the third or fourth best player on the opposing team, in a clutch time moment, like it's exactly where he can shine. And we all know like his wingspan is able to do wonders for him. So yeah, expect to see lineups exactly like that. The Rockets will be very fun to watch. I think the most fun team to watch in the NBA,
Mhm.
and I'm really excited for them.
Okay, let's talk to the Lakers. I am almost I can't say I'm more excited about the Lakers. Actually, I am okay. I am more excited about the Lakers than the Rockets. I don't think they're going to go farther, but the addition of Jackson Hayes and DeAndre Ayton, the idea that Luca and LeBron are still on a team together with Austin Reeves as well, that trio to me is something so special. And I know, like, I'm sure the concern is going to be the defense, right? Because LeBron is no longer the all-star caliber defender he used to be. Luca, not, I don't want to say doesn't play defense, but he's a little bit not the same. I mean, he's not a great defender. He's never been known for that. But I almost feel like the firepower with this and with having a paint protector like Ayton around, I I kind of like this team to like at least get to the 3 seed again, if not further.
So yeah, the Lakers have brought in DeAndre Ayton from the Blazers and Jake LaRavia from the Kings. They re-signed Jackson Hayes, and now he doesn't have to be their main center, so that's a great thing. They lose DFS, which we were just talked about. As for LaRavia, I would say like he's a quality 3-point shooter. He was 38% this last year. He's a okay passer, and I just think he's a good fit. They have him for 2 years. They lost DFS. Jake LaRavia will probably play a similar-ish role to Rui and to an extent what DFS did. I think he'll probably grow into it well. Like he's definitely a good NBA player for the price that they signed him for too. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but yeah, as for DeAndre Ayton, um, Ayton is definitely a fascinating subject. Everybody could have seen this coming, like this move. Uh, Ayton himself is a very interesting player, right? In terms of centers in the NBA, where he ranks is extremely vague because it's hard to define exactly what he is. There's not many players like him left in the league. Luka thrives with lob threats and rim running centers. I would not necessarily classify Ayton under that belt. I think in his son's days he did a bit more of that. There's also this league of stretch bigs and elite 3-point shooting centers in the NBA. I would not classify Ayton as that at all either. In fact, he attempted 0.8 threes per game last season, which was a career high. So, yeah, we don't even consider him a 3-point shooter. I also wouldn't even consider him a big floor raiser on defense. I think he can contribute well to a good defense, and he's a good shot blocker. You can take a look at his block stats. He averaged 1 last season and 0.8 steals, and so he's decent on the defensive end. So what exactly am I complimenting him about? Well, he
Nothing.
definitely does have strengths. My biggest strength for him, that anybody who watches him can tell you, that he's a very good mid-range shooter. And unfortunately in the NBA, that's not very valuable anymore, because everyone's figured out that you should either take a three or go for a layup, because why even bother shooting in the mid range anymore?
Hmm.
But Ayton has, if you look at his heat map, he's very hot in that free throw range, and he loves to shoot there. Which, by the way, is funny, because another of his single greatest weaknesses is that this man does not attempt free throws. For a center in the NBA, how are you averaging 1.5 free throw attempts per game and shooting 67% on them? So
Jeez.
I'm really digging into this guy, but all I'm trying to say is that now all of a sudden he is the best center on the Lakers. This is the biggest role he's ever had, even though he made it to the finals before, and he had those years with the Blazers,
Yeah.
whatever. I think Luka will make him better. LeBron will make him better. They'll make him more of a lob threat. I think he'll fit into the system that JJ Redick and these two basketball IQ geniuses on the court with him can design. So I don't think he'll get worse. But he has a different role now. He has to set more screens. He has to avoid chilling at the free throw line, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of pick and pops with him and Luka. But he's a very interesting figure. He's very physically gifted. We remember from his days in Phoenix that he had all those shining moments. But
Yeah. Are you a
um,
little bit afraid of him clogging the lane with LeBron? Not clogging the lane, but LeBron also loves to play at that top of the post, or I guess high post, kind of not high post. Sorry, top of the key, like near the free throw line, where he can kind of set up the offense the way he likes it, see if he can get someone to cut. Do you see that as a problem? Because I'm thinking about that now. Like, it's almost easier with someone that's less skilled than Ayton, because you can just stick them in the low post, and at the very worst, even if they're not scoring at all, they take a man with them, and now it's like spread out 4-on-4. You know what I mean?
mhm.
If Aiton's at the free throw line, that means the center is probably also going to be near there, and that just makes things more messy for Luka and LeBron and Austin Reeves, even just trying to get these pick and pops to go. What do you think about that?
It's interesting. I do think that Ayton has to accept the new rule,
Yeah,
where he's gonna be out of LeBron's way, and so DeAndre, like, a lot of his shots do come from that free throw range, or perhaps like a side wing mid range jumper, but it's gonna have to take some learning. And really trying to fit in with LeBron and Luka. I mean, I agree with your point. It's tough. He is not the dream fit for this team by no means, but he probably was the most talented center left that they could afford. And so, yes, he just has to be okay. He needs the intensity and physicality. That's really where the Lakers need him the most. They've needed a center for so many years, a true center. And everything about his career has led up to this. So
mm,
it's interesting to say the least. Yeah.
yeah,
Um. Yeah. So that's in terms of Ayton. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But there's actually a pretty serious conversation to be had about LeBron too. You want to talk about that, Rajan? Because LeBron James is in a situation like no other anymore. Um.
yeah.
This is not LeBron's team. And correct me if I'm wrong, but LeBron has never been on a team that's not his team, right?
Never. I
And
mean, there wasn't even a single year where there was like a team that it completely flows through him, no matter how good his teammates are.
Yeah, it's never even come close. He's had amazing teammates throughout his career, but um, this is, I think, also if you look through NBA history, this is the first time a player of his caliber is the second man on the team. Like no one even comes close. The man made All NBA second team last year. Luka didn't even qualify because he didn't play enough games. Obviously, Luka is better than LeBron in many aspects right now, and he is a better player. But like by last season, LeBron had a better season. But at this point, it's very clear the Lakers are on Luka's timeline. And when that AD trade fell in their lap, of course they had to say yes. And honestly, everyone in the world would have said yes 10 times out of 10, even if you knew you were hurting your chances at winning a chip with LeBron. It just completely realigns your timeline. So I'm going to read you two quotes that came out in the past couple weeks that seriously question LeBron's future. And this is from Brian Windhorst and from ESPN. So we have James understood the Lakers taking advantage of an opportunity to pivot to the younger superstar, Luka. But from LeBron's perspective, nuance was something lost during the transition. After all, Luka had never chosen to be a Laker. James, for his part, had chosen LA. He came to the season in 2018 when they had missed so many playoffs, and then they won a 17th championship, right? We all remember the bubble. And so it's something to be said about that. Apparently, LeBron and his agent Rich Paul have been showing some signs of discontent. And yeah, the Lakers have made their statement in not offering James a contract beyond the season. Yeah, by the way, I didn't say this earlier, but LeBron did opt into his player option, which we almost never see of a player of his caliber. He usually opts out and immediately resigns for a longer deal. So it was very clear that the Lakers, didn't have plans for the future with him. Now, will this be LeBron's last season in the NBA? It's possible. There were a lot of theories going around about that when he did opt in. What seems to be more likely is that the Lakers just don't want in on his future anymore because it's I would call it impossible for the Lakers to play the two timeline game. And you and I have spoken about two timelines a lot. It's mostly in regard to the Warriors, who also don't really have a second timeline beyond Curry ready yet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
The Lakers very clearly, their best hope at building in the best way for Luka's future for the next decade, I imagine, is by getting rid of LeBron, which is tragic because LeBron is, still the biggest name in the league. He's still the face of the league. The man is 40 years old and he still sells the most jerseys every year. And so, there are serious discussions to be had of whether LeBron will be on this team by the start of the season, or whether LeBron should be on the trade block at the trade deadline, or whether if LeBron should have this next year be the last year in the NBA. There's a lot of different thoughts. So what are your thoughts about LeBron right now?
Well, obviously, we both know how much we both love LeBron, as a player, as a person, as a father, as a son, as a brother,
Jeez, bro.
as every single position in the league. I mean, we could just keep going. Um, it's hard because we've never had precedent for this type of situation before. Usually, you can refer to, past, like even just like stuff like health. Like there's like an average age where players have a prime, right? That's why we call it a prime. They start to decline physically. We know that just from science and physiologically. We've never seen someone play at an exceptionally high level to be top 10 in the league in their 22nd year, 21st, 22nd year.
Yeah, he
At
just
least
played
two
his
decades.
20. He just played his 22nd year, which, by the way, it'd be pretty poetic if he retired after number 23, right?
Now the stars are aligned. See, the thing is, it's hard because we don't know when my point is that we don't know when his career is actually going to end. So, sure, you could say he's not in the timeline right now. They're split between two different timelines, and they'd rather go with the person who's better and younger. Sure. But what happens when LeBron ends up playing for 5 more years at still a pretty high level? then the Lakers waive him or whatever after this season, and they're sitting there kicking themselves, thinking, okay, was the person that we signed in place of this genius basketball, legend really worth it for us to win a championship? I don't know. It's too hard to call. I think that they're making the logical move in that, assuming that a 40-year-old is probably going to get injured before he plays enough years to make it worth it for them to keep him. So I completely get that. And you're probably better off waiving or not waiving, getting that 48 million a year to divert to other either role players or like bring in another star for Luka to work with. Because this bench has become, not this bench, but these role players, and I guess the bench, the whole roster has become a pretty decent supporting cast for a star player like Luka. So, I get the argument for wanting to divert more resources to that, especially to someone that could ease. I mean, if LeBron got hurt, right? If LeBron got anything above like an ankle sprain or like a calf strain, he's probably done for his career, right? Like at this point, we're waiting for the last injury because either would be too timely or to take too long to return to form, or it's just not worth it to him and the pain is too much. But part of me also thinks, like, who are you going to get instead of, like, okay, let's say you're the Lakers, right, Ramsey? I'm now asking this to you.
Sure.
Next year, LeBron finishes his player option, and you're like, okay, we're done with this guy. It's just not going to work out. Where do you go from there? Like who do you get in replacement that fits so well that it was worth letting him leave and letting him walk?
Well, the truth of the matter is, dude, that if they let this year finish, they have no leverage anymore. The player option is done. He's not on their team. He's an unrestricted free agent. They get no one. So their only option is to trade him in the middle of the season or before the season, which means we have a couple months before where we could see LeBron and
Yeah.
Bronny probably, I don't know, get
Wait.
traded.
I thought, wouldn't they get the money from his contract right now back? Not back, but like they would end up having that at some point.
What do you mean?
Like if they're paying him whatever X money right now, and he doesn't stay on that team, wouldn't they still have that amount of money to spend on somebody else after this year, after they finish paying him?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, the way it works is that he opted into his player option, so he's on the team. They have to pay his 50-something million dollar salary, and then by opting into your player option, that means that there's no more years of the contract. So starting next year, it's 0, and he's not on the team, and he's an
Oh,
unrestricted free agent.
sorry, I think I might have phrased it the wrong way. What I'm asking is, after that player option's done, right? They pay him his money. He's gone from the team, right?
Yeah, next year. Yeah.
Next year. So then next year, next offseason, they're now going to have
Oh, you're
LeBron
saying,
size. Like, who
yeah,
are they
yeah,
going to
yeah.
replace him with? Like, who makes it worth it is my point. Who is the can do it all, adds passing, scoring, rebounding, all the hustle stats to a team while also being the brains of an operation like this? That's not LeBron.
Well, the Lakers will probably be the best free agent destination next year, or damn close to it. So, I mean, they can have their pick, their first dibs at whoever they want. I suppose I'm looking right now at the top free agents in the NBA next offseason. Some key unrestricted free agents that I know are well, De'Aaron Fox wouldn't fit that well, but KD, that's funny. That's very funny actually. James Harden, if he opts out of his player option, uh, Chris Middleton, and yeah, you're pretty much done. And then you got to start looking at players in the tier of like John Collins and Anthony Simons.
So we're
So
looking at a trade then. You're right. It has to be some kind of
yeah,
midseason.
if they want anything valuable from LeBron besides finishing this year. Now the thing is, they're not going to get a player better than LeBron in the trade, obviously. So they can only hopefully it's like a 1-for-2 deal.
Yeah.
The
Or
truth
a
of the matter
pick.
is, though, or yeah, a really juicy future pick. LeBron is expensive, and he's now on an expiring contract that ends next season. And despite how good he is at his age, there's very, very few teams that are willing to gut some of their rosters in order to get him. Because
Mm-hmm.
what? the only teams that want him should be teams that are like contenders, right? Because adding an old LeBron should put you over that hump. But in order to do that, you have to sacrifice key pieces of your core that you need to be a contender. And everyone knows, and I just explained after watching the finals, you can't do that anymore. Like, that's not feasible. For example, a Cavs trade to get LeBron back is almost impossible because they're over the second apron and they have all of these laws about the fact that it's so hard to do a trade. But it can be possible, assuming there's a third team involved willing to help. But yeah, in order to do that, they probably have to get rid of Darius Garland, Jared Allen, and DeAndre Hunter. I saw a trade with that, and I was disgusted. Like, obviously, D. Mitch and Evan Mobley are the two best players on their team, but that does not make your team better, and the Cavs know that. And a LeBron with 1 year left, despite the storybook potential, it doesn't make them better. And if I were the Cavs, I wouldn't consider it.
So we're really looking at like LeBron probably retiring, not even because he can't play anymore, but because it does not make financial and future sense for a team to sign him.
Yes, there's other maybe possible destinations.
Orlando? No, I'm kidding. We'd have to give up too much. We'd have to give up so much.
No,
we have a bright future already.
Definitely not. The Magic front office knows better. I think the only team that it left that is interesting are the Knicks, because the Knicks could do a trade. I think it was OG and Mitchell Robinson, if I remember correctly. Like, those two and whatever draft capital you want for LeBron. Like, if you were the Knicks, would you do that trade? You get to keep Brunson and Cat. You have McHale and Hart, and you have LeBron, and that's your starting lineup. But you just lose the center depth. Now you have essentially none. Cat has to play center
again. And a hustler in OG.
And a huge, great defensive player, hustler, intensity dude in OG.
I think
in my opinion, that makes the Lakers better.
I was about to say the same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
That would make LA a serious, because then they have the depth that Indiana has of all these really great players and experience as well. Luka has been in the finals before. OG has won a ring. Now all of a sudden these guys are not like a young team just trying to get there and inexperienced. They have a great head coach. I mean, that would be a dream come true trade for the Lakers. They get to get rid of LeBron and they get all this in return.
Yeah, I agree. That's pretty much best case scenario for the Lakers. Again, like, LeBron probably himself is better alone than Mitch, Rob, and OG, but like, they do fill in that roster like the Lakers need. I also saw somebody mention a straight up swap. LeBron and Cat. Would you trade LeBron for Cat?
If I was the Lakers, hell yeah, I would take that.
Yeah. I agree. I'm asking from the Knicks' perspective because Knicks.
Oh, dude,
right?
I would rather, if I was the Knicks, I would rather do the first trade, because then at least you have a big three that could win now, maybe.
Yeah, Knicks are the Knicks play 6'4" Josh Hart at power forward all the time. They cannot afford to ship out Cat and completely destroy whatever's left of their front court. And I don't know. There's ideas, like, for somebody threw out the Kawhi for LeBron idea. I don't see how that helps anyone, frankly.
No, they're in the same city. They don't have to move.
Yeah, that doesn't help. Nobody's leaving. Some people want him to go to the Mavs. Obviously, that's cool because he gets to hang out with Kyrie and AD in their final days. But why would the Mavs do that?
And who would the Mavs give the Lakers for? I mean,
unless they're giving up goddamn Cooper Flag.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense. And that does not make sense. I need to correct myself. That makes the least sense. I don't know what makes sense. You're beginning to realize that the LeBron trades make no sense, and the Lakers will kind of have to lose, and the team that's trading for LeBron would probably at the end of the day not get that much better. And so there's a lot of worry to be had.
I think this is the end of the line for him, and it might not even be his choice, but there's no reason that, I mean, opting into the player option like that is a clear decision that, the organization doesn't want to sign you longer. It's over, which is sad.
I think LeBron might be traded, but if I were to guess, I think that he will play the season with the Lakers, but he won't retire. I think that before he retires, he's going to announce it. It's going to be a farewell tour. The NBA probably is going to make him do that because they want to be able to sell like out every stadium that he goes to. But also, it's something to be said that Bryce is going to be starting, or I don't know if he's a starter, but he's going to play at Arizona this year, and then he could enter the draft. And so, if LeBron waits and plays 2 more seasons, Bryce might be in the NBA again. I don't know how good of an NBA prospect he is. Probably not that good, but
Do we think that LeBron would take a pay cut to stay in the league? Because then it opens up, like, if LeBron's salary right now is $48 million. If he takes a pay cut, like, we're talking significant, because otherwise there's no team that's going to pay for him. But like, if he's around that, and he would probably think this is insulting, but like the 25-30 million mark, that's way undershooting his skill level. But to stay in the league, do you think there's a team that might want to sign? Because then all of a sudden it gets interesting with some of these destinations that are win now.
yeah, then every team would sign him. That's what I was going to say. If he finishes his contract and then accepts the fact that he is willing to take a big pay cut, the man's a billionaire. Like,
Yeah, he does not need any more money.
You can afford 20 or 30 million to finish your story and try to win another ring. I think I would do that.
And play with your son, hopefully.
Yeah, and now he could sign for a mid-level exception type value, which between 12 and 15 million, very, very low. But obviously, if LeBron is willing to do it, like, he becomes the most valuable asset in the entire NBA. And I don't know. There's a lot of discussions to be had, but I think that
yeah, we
the
could keep
Lakers,
what-ifing this forever.
We could. I think that the Lakers probably just want to ride it out with this team of Luka, Braun, Reeves, Ayton, Rui, and their bench behind it. And I think it's worth a try. I think that this team will be good. And I think that if Luka has a MVP level season, like, they could win the West. They could.
Yeah, they totally
I would
could.
never bet on it. And not that I bet
would.
on anything.
Okay.
This guy would. But like, obviously we like the Nuggets and Rockets and Thunder more, but by the way, we'll talk about MVP picks at some point, but low key, I think Luka has to be my pick this year. I think this is his time. It's gonna happen at some point, right? Is he gonna finish?
Jokic doesn't get robbed again. I mean, I'm sorry, kidding. Shea deserves it, but yeah, I think either it's gonna be either Jokic or Luka, unless Giannis has some kind of, I can't say redemption year, as if he wasn't good last year. He was still top 3 in the league, but
yeah,
I
don't think Giannis is winning another MVP. I think Shea might. I low key am starting to think Jokic might not. I think the voter fatigue could settle in, but he also has the best supporting cast around him yet.
True.
Oh, hey, W transition. Ready?
Oh, the best supporting cast around Jokic ever.
The Nuggets, for our next segment, have added Bruce Brown, 2023 champion with the Denver Nuggets, Cam Johnson, who was rotting away in Brooklyn and who they traded Michael Porter Jr. for, and Tim Hardaway Jr., very fun shooter, fun to play with on 2K. He's just a cool guy. And Valanciunas, who was having a little bit of a back and forth because he got an offer from a Euro League team to go play there, and he was thinking about just saying, yeah. The Nuggets were like, yo, bro, we just traded for you. Could you stick around for one season? And my word on the street is that he will. So, yeah, they lose MPJ and Dario Saric. No one cares about Dario Saric.
I was about to say that. You don't even have to say his name when we're talking about who they lost.
He was a negative asset. And MPJ is a really great player, really valuable in that finals run. Incredible shooter when he's available. He has the injury concerns. Michael, go get the rebound, little bro, Porter Jr. Like, he's a fantastic and really unique player. But Cam Johnson is more reliable, and I think that he will become the best version of himself by far next to Jokic. And I think that trade was a no-brainer for the Nuggets, giving up their 2032 first-round pick. I mean, Jokic could still be in the league by then, but like, who knows where the Nuggets will be by then?
Yeah,
that trade made no sense for the Nets. I don't know if we talked about it.
I was about to say that just now. We didn't talk about that with the Eastern stuff, but like, I guess it'll be cool to see MPJ lead an incredibly young and fun team to watch in the Brooklyn Nets. I'm being sarcastic. They're not that. I just think, like, I mean, he'll get a chance to shine, and we'll be able to see if his consistency would improve, if he's always being the number one option. That is one thing to be said, that maybe the consistency is harder to be had if you're not always the number one guy. And so sometimes your shot is off and sometimes it's not, but he won't really have an option now. So that'll be cool. And I think you're right. Cam Johnson, it's all about the niches, because when you have players like Jokic who can do it all, you just need to add a couple of everything else around him. A couple great rebounders, a couple great other passers, a couple great scoring options from deep or from, close by, a great center that can play some defense. Cam Johnson fits that wing 3-and-D, like reliable. I mean, we both watched, I'm sure we both watched the Suns Bucks finals. Cam
Yeah,
Johnson was lethal in that series from three. And he played a very
you're right.
similar role to what he's going to play right now, where you have at that point it was Chris Paul and Devin Booker as the two main guys. This time it's Jamal and Nikola Jokic, and he gets to fill in that role of being a great lethal shooter from not much pressure on him. I think it's like a
I agree.
perfect
I
situation for
I
them.
do want to say I think that as NBA media members, if you are willing to call us that, we've the general community has tended to assign the term 3-and-D to
Yes,
anybody who is a good 3-point shooter and okay defender. I'm honestly willing to say, if you kind of look at his film, Cam Johnson's not a very good defender, but it's okay. Like, just make sure we don't give him too much credit. He's a really good shooter, very good, and he's cheaper than MPJ significantly, and I think for what they are trying to do now, he fits in perfectly. And if you look at this starting lineup, Jamal Murray, Christian Brown, who's risen so much over the last 2 years. Uh,
Risen.
yes, Rose. Is it
No,
risen?
I was making a Riz joke.
Moving on. Cameron Johnson, Aaron Gordon, whoever Nikola Jokic is, and then the second unit of Strother, Bruce Brown, Peyton Watson, Valanciunas,
Star no no no
Hardaway.
wait. Star player Jonas Valanciunas, who has offers from two different continents.
Wow, that's impressive, man.
That's impressive.
And
Wait
then
till he gets the Shanghai Sharks.
we have a bum horse racer starting at center over Valanciunas. Like, you got to be kidding me. Speaking of which, Jokic opted to not sign a contract extension this year, which means that, assuming he does not have a career-altering injury in the next year, he will sign for the biggest deal in NBA history next summer. Makes sense. Like, for example, Shea signed a 4-year deal this summer because it's often worth it to not wait the extra year, even though you can get more money, because you could you could get injured and ruin your life. But Jokic plays in a way that, like, he's so confident that's not going to happen that it's totally worth it for him to
Just
wait.
wait till opening night comes and he just like tears his ACL.
No,
And
no, no, no,
it's
no. I think next year he might sign for like 5 years, like 400 million or something like that. Like,
I wonder
I
when we're gonna get to the $1 billion like total deal. Not like obviously per year,
I
but
don't know if that would happen. Well, first of all, contracts would need to change to be longer than 5 years, which they don't allow. But the better question is, when we get to the 100 million valuation, so like 500 million. That will happen
soon.
in our lifetime, in the
Yeah.
next decade. I saw somebody make a video about it saying that they think Wemby's like third contract is going to be worth $500 million. And I was like, yeah, that seems fair to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I was about to say no, but it's gone up so quickly, especially if the ownership starts to change. We saw like certain countries like Saudi Arabian owners like in soccer giving
Bro.
so much money. I mean, like if they get into the NBA action at all, this could all change
I mean, who
dramatically.
knows?
Yeah.
The NBA contracts don't work like baseball and soccer ones do, but
Right.
yeah, we don't know. But yeah, the Nuggets. Remember, by the way, the Nuggets took the championship Thunder to 7 games and barely lost. And that's how good Nikola Jokic is. He made that Thunder team look that weak. So my question is to you, given that the Thunder are going to get better, but they didn't add new personnel. The Nuggets did. They have the best center behind Jokic in his career. Hopefully won't have to play as many minutes as he did, but he's still going to carry that team more than any star carries their team in the league. If you were to pick your West champion right now, do you have to pick the Thunder, or do you see a world where the Nuggets can get this done?
Yes and yes. I see a world where the Nuggets could do it. Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
but I can't pick against the Thunder as of right now, unless they have some kind of visible slump with how they operate, which they won't because the team is only going to have more chemistry. That's the beauty of it. There are certain teams that have had ring-winning seasons, and then the team switches dramatically, and those little role player switches that you think aren't a big deal, they are a big deal for whatever reason. On the court chemistry, off the court chemistry, locker room stuff, or just play style. Um, the Thunder, like you said, have literally changed nothing. And by the way, they still have an insane amount of draft picks for the next 4 years. Like insane amount of
Oh
draft
yeah,
picks.
I think the only thing they changed, I guess, is they added like the rookie Topich and another rookie. So like, yeah.
Yeah, there's no way I can pick against that. A team that has another year together with chemistry, with that ferocity defensively. I mean, it's just scary to think about. But I do think the Nuggets are better. It's like the difference between however much they lost this year and like losing by 2. You know what I mean? That's what I think of it as. Like they are ever closer to getting to the Thunder's level and beating them if they went to Game 7 again. But you can never count. You can never say they're over the hump yet. You can't. You just can't do that yet.
The Thunder to win the West right now are plus 155 on FanDuel. Makes sense. Heavy favorites. The Nuggets and Rockets are practically tied. They're a plus 10 difference away. They're essentially both at plus 500, with the Nuggets technically a plus 490. So, both good value to me, frankly. Like, that makes more sense. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. All right, that's all on the Nuggets side.
Yeah.
We'll be rooting for you.
Optimistic future for sure.
Yeah, they still have a very strong contention window as long as you have that guy. Like, pay him whatever he needs. All right, so the Phoenix Suns are our next team. We already talked about KD on the Rockets. The Suns do not have KD anymore. They don't have Tyus Jones or Mason Plumlee. But they do have Dylan Brooks, Jalen Green, Mark Williams, and some new rookies like Kaman Maliwatch from Duke, Rasheer Fleming, who's the most hyped up second round pick, Kobe Brea from Kentucky. Some other news: Booker signed a 2-year, $145 million contract extension that would be worth up to $72.5 million per year, and that won't kick in for 3-ish years. But I mean, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of
Um,
money for Devin Booker.
a lot of money for Devin Booker, and here's the thing, Rajan. Devin Booker is a top 20 player in the NBA, right? No
Easily,
doubt.
no
He's
doubt.
probably not top 15. He could make an All NBA team this coming year. Who knows? He hasn't made that many. But do you have to pay your franchise guy, your loyal guy, the ride or die dude who's been here the entire time? The only member left of the 2021 Suns. It's been 4 years, by the way. He's the only one left. Do you just have to pay him this money?
I think if I'm the Suns, clearly they're doing this because they think that there's a future there, and they think somehow with Devin Booker and Jalen can't shoot a 3 or anything green in the playoffs. And Bradley, I hate playing basketball and I'm here for the money, Beal. And Dylan, I hate LeBron Brooks. And Mark, I got traded and then traded back Williams. what do they think there's a future here? They clearly think there's a future here. If I was the Suns, I'm letting Devin Booker walk and I'm rebuilding because they've tried. I mean, the Suns supporting cast, look where they are now. Mikal Bridges was on the Knicks, who almost made it to the NBA Finals. Maybe not almost, but they definitely were close in the Eastern Conference Finals, right? Mikal was a major part of that Knicks team. Cam Johnson
So
now
was
going to the
Cameron Payne was on the
Nuggets.
same team.
My point is
Sorry,
even
I
is
was just saying
further. Oh
Cam
yeah,
Payne was
I'm
on the
agreeing
same
with you.
team
Yeah.
as Bridges, Cam Johnson, also
DeAndre
in New
Ayton is
York.
now also on a contender. Like these guys have all done great things, and they were all on this team together, and they couldn't get it done. And I don't want to say the Bucks were a weak opponent in the finals. They of course were not, but compared to some of the other things the East has produced, I would say that they were a weaker team to make it all the way to the finals in comparison. So for them to lose to them there, and then still think that Devin Booker is the answer, to me is a little bit I don't know if this is a move from management because they know that Devin Booker will still sell out, sell jerseys and sell out the stadium because he's a fun player to watch. But in terms of purely winning a championship, which should be the goal, the primary goal of every NBA team, it doesn't make sense. How can you count on any of these guys who have shown to be either inconsistent and play hard or play lackluster or start beef with people and ruin chemistry? Three of those starting
Yeah.
guys fit those roles. It's impossible to justify for me.
Yeah, I don't think the Suns are too concerned about being contenders right now, but I do think that they are hopeful they can retool around D-Book in the future, and they want to keep him for the long term. Booker has idolized Kobe for a long time. He wants to be that kind of guy his entire career, but D-Book is not as good as Kobe. I mean, Booker has made 2 All-NBA teams in his career. He made an All-NBA first team in the 2021-22 season. And 2 years ago he made third team. Last year he didn't even make the All-Star team. So, but yeah, I mean, if he wants to chill in Phoenix, I completely get it, and I think he's gonna have fun out there. But the team is awful.
Yeah.
Phoenix has 5 players. Their 5 highest paid players, that is. I think all of them are shooting guards. Yeah, Bradley Beal and Devin Booker, who both have to play some point guard because of how awful the team is constructed, are both really genuinely shooting guards. Jalen Green is a shooting guard. Dylan Brooks, you can call him a small forward if you want, but can be a shooting guard too. And Grayson Allen, he's a shooting guard. Those are their 5 highest paid players. So, yeah, the term positionless basketball, I don't think this is what they meant.
Yeah, they have to all be good at something and good at being on a team.
Yeah. That's 115% of the cap goes to 5 shooting guards. Bradley Beal is getting 53.
They're over the cap with those 5 people?
Yes.
They're over the second.
They're in the second apron, dude. They're not gonna win any games.
This is somehow worse than the KD Suns. I don't know how you could get worse than that.
So much worse. Bradley Beal is owed $53.6 and then $57.1 million. He's ass, dude. You said it. He does not like playing basketball. He does not like playing
basketball.
He definitely is like Jimmy Butler, lost the joy,
Yeah.
Now,
no, but Jimmy has been revitalized. Jimmy has a reason to live now.
Thank God Jimmy got bailed out. And speaking of which, on that note, many people believe that Bradley Beal will be bought out and that his contract will be stretched. They probably will get inspired by what happened to Dame.
Okay.
He's actually is owed a very similar amount of money to Dame over the next 2 years, almost the exact same thing. And so I don't know if they'll waive him, but they could do the waive and stretch type clause. And then there are a lot of options for Beal. The 2 top options that I've seen are the Clippers and the Bucks. I think the Clippers is the best fit. We're going to talk about them in a second. I guess if he went to the Bucks too, he would have more of a starter role than he would on the Clippers, but he's already in Phoenix. His family is settled there. It's okay if he wants to stay on the West Coast. Yeah, dude, they're $12 million over the second apron. It's not the worst depth chart I've ever seen because they have good players on the team like Booker and whatever.
Wait. They have good players on the team like Booker and who, Ramsey?
Yeah. No, I can't really comment too much, but at least they have centers. They traded for Mark Williams. They drafted Kamal Maliwatch. I don't know their plan. Like, I don't know what they're doing. This is the worst balanced depth chart I've ever seen. Booker is getting slightly worse. Are they going to tank? I think they're not tanking. But, like, if so, what are they doing? The best they could possibly pray for is the 10th seed and getting smoked in the first game in the play-in. But I don't think there's a shot in the world that they make it that far. I think that they're going to probably win somewhere in the 30s in games, maybe high 20s. And I just think the future is so unbelievably dark. They have none of their first round picks for years to come. They owe so much money to the same position. They're no more close to contention. It's just so depressing to see like teams and owners overreact after you fall short, like they did in 21. And yeah, those are my lingering thoughts on the Suns. What about you?
You basically summed it up. They're screwed. I really would have just rebuilt. But whatever. I mean,
Yeah, I completely
I
agree.
almost have less optimism about this team than I do about the other like bottom feeding teams in the league because at least they're not trying to create a roster out of 5 shooting guards, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Um, Also,
That
it's possible that they might look to trade Book one day. I think this extension makes it harder, but
Yeah, I
th-
feel like you okay, so sorry to interrupt you, but like oh, pardon the interruption. Um let's say you keep Jalen Green, right?
yeah,
And and you have Dylan Brooks, you have Mark Williams. Okay, fine. Like there are just so many, and maybe we'll see this in the summertime. You know, I mean, well, not for D-Book anymore because he's on the extension, but like it's more plausible to think that they would trade D-Book to a contender and get a couple role players for him. D-Book is absolutely worth 2 solid, decent, shooting or small forwards, power forwards, maybe even a center. The same thing. I would say you can at least get a 1-for-1 with Bradley Beal, and then maybe a pick. You know, at least then
yeah.
you're
I think Book warrants some good picks or young players.
yeah, and at least then you can say, okay, we're doing the same timeline thing. We're shifting from Devin Booker to Jalen Green, and even if he's a little bit inconsistent, he's our guy. We're gonna build around him. We're gonna
Yeah,
let him
I
develop.
think it's okay to give Green the chance to run your show. Everyone knows
Yeah,
the show won't sell any tickets, but like it's worth a shot.
right. It's better. It's better than trying to force this to happen, which is going to
Yeah,
be an absolute train. I mean,
tread water with Book. Yeah,
yeah, we're not gonna. This team's not gonna win more than 35, 36 games. I don't think. I mean, they're
I
they
agree.
are they are constructed so terribly,
Mhm.
so terribly. I mean, I don't know. We're gonna. It's a bunch of see a bunch of 6-7 guards on the court. You know.
Yeah, yeah, man, it's just great. Um, so yeah, this is a bottom three team in the West, in my opinion, and I know a guy at my work who's a Pistons fan who's been wanting D Book to be traded there. Obviously, yeah, that'd be great. But I don't know what the Suns are on, and I think that Devin Booker is gonna have to deal with even more dark years to come. It's already been tragedy. Uh, nobody was
Ironic.
happy. Nobody was
Sorry.
happy in those KD Book Beal days. Like nobody looked happy on the court, and frankly, I don't know what they expect now. But
Can't believe the darkness is around the sun, man. Awful.
that was so tough, dude.
Thanks,
Congrats.
man. Thanks.
And yeah, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back.
You like jazz? Because I don't. They freaking suck. Sorry, that was my one-liner, Ramsey. We're back,
Actually,
guys.
are you still listening to jazz, by the way?
Yeah, I'm listening to Two Down, One Across by Kenny Garrett.
I love that one, man.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, how does it go, Ramsey?
So let's talk about the Jazz.
Okay. The other jazz?
The Utah Jazz in Salt Lake City have made some interesting moves, to say the least. Their updates include adding Yusuf Nurkic in a trade for that where they dealt out Colin Sexton, who pretty much every NBA fan was thought was a positive asset, a solid point guard who probably won't go to a contender, but like a team should pay some player or two or pick to get him. No. The Jazz sent him out with a second round pick to get a significantly worse Yusuf Nurkic. Apparently Colin Sexton's market value was way off, and nobody, I don't know if any team believes in him. Apparently he's just a salary dump now. Like that guy averaged 18 points last season, and
That
I
was not
just
the
said,
narrative around him for so long. He used to be like this, like reliable, consistent.
yeah. Well, I don't know. Like, I saw Jazz games last year where I was like, "Oh, Sexton's the best player tonight." Like, okay, but I don't know. Like, apparently the Jazz are willing to give up and get nothing in return. They, as I just said, they paid a pick to get rid of him. Um, They also lost Jordan Clarkson and John Collins. So those are 3 players, for example, that have been on the Jazz for a while that you and I and others are like, they gotta move on. They gotta make way for the young guys. And so they're on their way of doing that. Jordan Clarkson was just a free agent. I think he's now in the Knicks. John Collins was actually in a trade very recently in the last week. We didn't get to cover this in the East episode because it happened between the two, but there was an interesting trade with Norman Powell going from the Clippers to the Heat, John Collins going from the Jazz to the Clippers, and Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson and a second-round pick going to the Jazz from the Heat. And so, how did the Jazz improve? They don't. They get rid of Collins. They're good. I talk about lob threats and rim running dudes. John Collins is one of the best in the NBA, power forward
Absolutely.
wise. And they get Kevin Love, Kevin Love's gonna like the Jazz are that classic destination where you get traded there for like a day and then you're never on the team again because they get rid of you. And so if I were Kevin Love, I wouldn't even look at rentals. I would just look for another team. I saw recently some want him to go to Cleveland. That'd be cool, right? But K-Love, he's gonna wrap it up soon. And Kyle Anderson, he'll get minutes. I have no opinions on Kyle Anderson. The 2 guys that they have left that are lingering from these like dark post D. Mitch and Rudy Gobert days are Walker Kessler and Lauri Markkanen, who are arguably the 2 most valuable of that bunch. And they have been in trade talks for years. And I don't know what they're going to do with them. I think as of right now, they're both going to be on the team at the beginning of the season. So I'm just going to assume they are. But we'll talk about trade destinations for them one day if it should come up. But yeah, they are like the opposite of competitive. I mean, I was talking about how I hate the Suns depth chart. The Jazz is definitely worse in terms of a collection of talent, but at least it's constructed decently well. And I think just one of the worst problems is that they sold really low. When you have an asset like a John Collins or a Colin Sexton, even when they're playing their best, you have to recognize the state of your team. And I'm sure the Jazz have known for years that they're going to be the classic 3rd team in a trade, helping with the salaries, vying for a top pick, not accomplishing anything. And I think when they made those trades to get rid of Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, they were hoping that those first-round picks would help them rebuild sooner.
Right.
But like, it's just been really, truly unsuccessful. And now they have to attach picks or get almost no value in return to get rid of these guys because they just want to make room for their rookies. And if you're gonna tank, that's the best way to tank. Just let your rookies play terribly because at least they'll improve. But like, it's an improvement. I actually do think it's a step in the right direction, but it's really unfortunate to see them sell so low and have very little to show for these players that were pretty good.
Yeah, Sexton and Collins specifically. I mean, do you remember those Collins, Trae Young days in Atlanta when they were just like
Absolutely.
terrorizing people with the posters? I mean, like they could at least get some. Man, this is just so stupid. I sometimes wonder how these owners are like not out of a job. Not owners, GMs and front office
It's
people.
Danny Ainge, Celtics legend, who's been working for the Jazz, and a lot of people recognize that the whatever he's doing in Utah right now is strange. Yeah.
It's like terrorism. I mean, you're right. The movement that they made just now, like that stuff is a step in the right direction. Because at the very worst now, you're just kind of spending time in this like crappy like era of Utah basketball. But at least there's a light, even if it's very faint, at the end of the tunnel, which is the rookies improve. Maybe Markkanen takes a big step forward and becomes a solid like a 20-point a game scorer, But it's just like what are we? I don't know. I feel like there's a better move. I'm not sure what exactly it is, but it's frustrating to watch an NBA team just suck this badly and get so little for these valuable players. Like John Collins and Colin Sexton could both be like Colin Sexton could be a great backup point guard for any team in the league. He could be a great player for Indiana. I just thought of that because you know Hallie's going to be gone, and I'm assuming TJ McConnell's going to get the starting job. That'd be a great location for him, and they would be able to get trade like picks for that because the Pacers are in a
Yeah.
win now situation. They want to give up those picks because they want to win. It's just
Yeah, I actually like the Sexton to Indiana idea, but Indiana's a cheap team, so I don't think they care.
They are a
Yeah,
cheap team.
yeah. The Jazz, the coolest thing they've done over the last month is during the draft they drafted Ace Bailey, who did not want to go there, and Walter Clayton Jr., who I deeply love. We can talk about
we
um, we could talk about his days in Florida and how exciting he's going to be for them. And he really will play for them. And that's why I actually, as much as I did not like what they got in return for Clarkson and Sexton, I'm so glad they're gone because that means Clayton will play so many more minutes and he's going to get to truly stamp himself as a quality NBA player quickly. He had a great game in the Summer League the other day too. So, and yeah, Ace Bailey, the Jazz, if you look around the league, in order to become a contender, Rajan, you and I agree that you really need like
a guy.
a guy or the guy, right? Um, and there are a lot of teams in the NBA that tank and tank in order to get the guy, and sometimes you can be a contender without drafting one of them. Like the Thunder did not draft Shea, but they were able to isolate him in that trade for Paul George, and ended up working out. The Pacers did not draft Halliburton or Siakam, and I wouldn't even call either of them like the guy. They're not MVP candidates at all, but that team is just so well constructed and they're such an anomaly. But generally, like in order to win a championship going over past years, you need an MVP level player.
Right.
And so most teams tank in order to get one. The Spurs obviously did successfully. And, you look around the league, other teams have been hoping that they would have them. The Pelicans have been banking on Zion for years. The Hornets on LaMelo. The Grizzlies on Ja. Who am I forgetting? Who is the other worst teams? The Wizards are also in a similar situation to the Jazz. But, like, the Jazz right now, their best chance is Ace Bailey. So that's why they had to draft him. He has, besides Cooper Flag, arguably, and Dylan Harper, I think he is the third highest upside in the entire draft. He's just as super raw, but extremely athletic. The chase down defensive blocks, the intensity. Like, I'm not going to analyze Ace Bailey here for everybody. I just recommend watching a couple videos talking about him from people who know more about him than me. But, like, he can be a great player, and I think that he seems excited enough about the Jazz. I think that we can kind of move on from his emotions about being drafted there. I think this is their best chance, and I think that drafting him was the right decision. I think building around or giving him opportunities is the right decision too. So will he start? I don't know. Laurie is really their small forward. I think Ace should start if he's good enough. But, like, for example, they have Isaiah Collier, who you might remember from USC. He was Bronny's teammate. He was one of the best passers in the entire NBA last year. And they have Collier, Clayton, Markkanen, Taylor Hendricks, UCF legend. I hope they give him more opportunities. Walker Kessler. And then, yeah, Ace Bailey, Filipowski, Keontae George, Bryce Sensabaugh. Again, just a few young pieces that moderately excite me, but compared to the Wizards, who I remember talking about with you last week, how I actually was very excited about their future and all the young talent they had. They're not there, and they're still probably looking to sell on Kessler and Markkanen. I saw a post saying that they want 2 first-round picks for Walker Kessler, which is moderately understandable given how few centers there are left in the NBA. But, like,
Still
I don't think
a
that,
little bit of
yeah,
overpriced.
they're not gonna get that. We've seen the value, how the market has been working over the last couple weeks. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't know about you, but I think this is the only team in the entire West that is actively trying to lose. I think every other team that we're gonna talk about today, including the Suns, including the Blazers, including the Spurs, every team is kind of trying to win. The Jazz definitely are the only ones that aren't.
And it's a better place to be in than be the 11, 12, 13, 14 teams that are trying to win but have terribly executed on those goals. Like, I'd rather be a Jazz fan than a Suns fan by a mile.
I agree with you. I agree with you completely.
So, I mean, they're in the right direction, and these rookies are going to get time to play. And who knows, maybe Walter Clayton and Ace Bailey will become the greatest duo of all time, and they'll these scoring legends this year, and then all of a sudden Utah opens up, that's probably the higher end of likely, or sorry, the higher range of what could happen. Um, but I mean, I guess they're a team to watch. We'll definitely be watching them on League Pass. So
Yeah, well, full disclosure, that Loki might be dead last in teams I want to watch, but actually, nah, not dead last.
no, Clayton.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah,
Clayton inflates that. Okay, I'm excited to watch Walter. Low key, Walt, he's a rookie dude, but he's like, I think he's 23. He might be 22. He's kind of a more of a vet in terms when you compare him to Ace Bailey. Like, Walter Clayton Jr.'s got a kid, bro. Maybe he can knock some sense into Ace Bailey. Um,
no, I
J-
have to get paid millions of dollars to play a sport. No, I don't want to go. No.
no, yeah. Okay, yeah. So on the topic of John Collins, let's talk about the Clippers. Okay,
Let's.
so the Clippers add Brooke Lopez and John Collins, two great players. Been around the league for a long time. The Clippers seem very interested in this type of player. The unks around the league who are still able to get it done. And they also re-signed Batum and James Harden. They don't have Norm Powell anymore, a fringe all-star. But I think that Collins is a pretty strong lateral move. If I could talk about them for a little bit, the Clippers needed a bigger power forward. This really fits what they could have used in their front court. It works alongside Zubac very well. Potentially a small ball center if they ever want to have Collins out there running center. Obviously, you have Kawhi, who has played a lot of four in his days, but you can have Kawhi and Collins together on the court. They play very different roles. Collins is a fantastic rim runner with Harden and also a strong stretch option. So he's just a great big, period. He was valuable. He's been very valuable for a long time. And I think that John Collins is a great defender too. And Brooke Lopez, even in his old age, can still get the blocks. And so the Clippers were third in defensive rating last year. They're only strengthening whatever defensive identity they have. And yeah, also John Collins, by the way, played 40 games last year. I think that was probably just like tanking from the Jazz, faking his injuries. I really don't think he's injured. I think that they were just trying to lose and keep him on the bench. But yeah, this Clippers lineup is very exciting. James Harden, Chris Dunn, one of the best defenders in the NBA. Kawhi, John Collins, Zubac. On the bench, you got Brooke Lopez, Derek Jones Jr., Bogdanovich, and Nick Batum. Like, this is a exciting team.
Specifically about the lob threat stuff, we know that James Harden has history with being a great point guard in those types of systems.
Yep.
So now you got John Collins and you have Derek Jones Jr. as like there's so many, like we were talking about flexibility with one of the earlier teams. I think it was Houston. We were saying that they have
Yeah.
flexibility now. I would say in a different way, so do the Clippers. They have a way to
Completely.
fit different bigs on the floor. Kawhi isn't forced to play the four; he can play the three and use his size as an advantage
Yeah, the
against.
size, I agree. The Clippers are a very big team, and so you take advantage of Kawhi's mismatches at the three. It works beautifully.
And he's so fast. I mean, like no injuries, fingers crossed.
I really hope we get a fully healthy season from Kawhi, man.
Yeah, but yeah, very optimistic for this team, and you can definitely look to them. I mean, being closer to the top four than the bottom four of the playoffs for next year. I mean, I absolutely think that they're a contending team as like a dark horse team that could totally get in there and wreck your favorite team's chances to win. So
Yeah, they took the Nuggets to 7, who took the Thunder to 7. So if you wanna, I mean,
transitive
give the
property.
give the Clippers any credit, yeah. But the um, sorry, the last thing the Clippers need is a backup point guard. They have Harden. They don't really have a shot creator off the bench, like the Magic, by the way, haven't for a while, and that's why they got Tyus Jones. That's why I think that the Clippers are the best target by far for Bradley Beal, assuming that he gets waived and bought out and stretched and whatever. I think that Beal might also be interested in the Bucks or the Timberwolves or whatever, but I think that's the best fit for him. And I think this is a it's a very odd group of dudes. Bradley Beal, James Harden, Kawhi, Brooke Lopez, just feels like Nick Batum. Just feels like a bunch of guys that are all going to retire in the same time. Like we're all doing this
Yeah.
together, and then we're out. But and do I think they're going to win a championship? No,
No.
but like it's interesting, and it'll be fun to watch. And this is a great team. I agree with you. I think they'll be top 6 in the West, and that's something very impressive.
I was also gonna say, I'm someone that tends to just like want to hit the reboot button on teams more often than not. I'd
Yeah,
rather see a team, that's just who I am as a person. This is like one of the very few like mostly older dudes starting lineups where I'm like, yeah, go for this. Like if you can get a chip for this city, I mean, or this team, great. If not, it's still better to do this and go for it and get some pieces in there and try than it is to just rebuild. I respect the way that they're handling this. They
I'm
know that their
glad.
ceiling is probably not that high,
Yeah,
but
no,
just yeah,
I'm so glad you said that. I agree. I'm glad that we have teams like the Clippers keeping the NBA in balance and
yeah,
just wanting to compete.
yeah. You
Um,
need the upper mid level teams in any league.
exactly. The Clippers are also favorites to sign Chris Paul, assuming that he doesn't retire,
Oh my
and
god.
to finish his career back on the Clippers
Yeah,
with Bradley Beal too. Like the two of them help run the point guard minutes when Harden's out. I mean,
yeah.
like Bradley Beal, James Harden, and Chris Paul on the same team. It's just like odd to think about, and like again, he's another name on that list I just mentioned. But like, the Clippers will be fun to root for, and I don't think any player, unless you hate the Clippers for some reason or you're a Lakers fan, like I think everybody in the league should be rooting for all these guys that have been in the NBA for so long.
This is basically a reunion of a Lob City type thing with Collins and Derek Jones with Chris Paul at the point. Could be cool.
We probably would see those minutes for sure
Yeah,
if
yeah,
CP3 gets signed. So yeah, look out for that.
yeah. So on the topic of non upper mid teams, maybe like really, really, really bad teams.
Hmm.
Let's talk Zion Williams Pelicans.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. The Pelicans added Sadiq Bey, Jordan Poole, and Kevon Looney, Warriors legend,
Legend.
who's gone. And they lost Bruce Brown to the Nuggets, CJ McCollum and Kelly Olynyk and again, that was a trade to the Wizards where they got Sadiq and Jordan Poole. I don't know what that's frankly like. I literally don't know what that does for either team.
Yeah.
In terms of competitiveness, I understand the fit on the both rosters. Maybe like if you want to have CJ McCollum as a vet for the Wizards with all their rookies instead of Jordan Poole taking minutes from them, that's fine. But Jordan Poole and Zion on the same team, dude,
Yeah.
Also, they extended Herb Jones, all defensive team level player. He's a very exciting guy, and I'm excited for him to play a lot more. Um, the biggest thing the Pelicans did that I don't think I've talked about at all is in the draft, they drafted Jeremiah Fears at 7, strong pick, and Derek Queen at 13. He's a good pick. He's a good center. He was great in the March Madness. But dude, they had to get Derek Queen at 13. They traded up from 23 to 13. The Hawks were at 13, so they swapped. And in order to do that, they gave up their first round pick for next year, unprotected. Like, can you even fathom how valuable that pick is? Apparently, there's a report that the Hawks, when they were making that deal, were like, wait, it's unprotected, right? You said unprotected, unprotected. Like, I'm not joking about that. I think it was Wendy who said that they were like really clarifying that. Like, you couldn't at least top 5 protect that pick. The
Yeah.
Pelicans are going to be trash. I just said the Jazz are the only team definitely not trying to win because I didn't include the Pelicans. Technically, the Pelicans, if you look at their lineup, like they have enough good players to win some games, but like they will be the second worst team in the West, right? They have to be, and
Easily.
so
Easily.
they will. That's usually a recipe for a top 5 pick, and sometimes when you tank, it doesn't work out. Recent history has demonstrated that tanking doesn't work that well, but dude, the Hawks are gonna be benefit so much, and they also traded back and they got Ace and Newell, but like I can't. Derek Queen has to be like an all-star or an all NBA, like a franchise changer in order to
Yeah,
give up your first round pick for free.
for
That made
free.
me so mad, and I don't even I don't know what their plan is.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. This there are usually like identities, right, around teams of like and every team has one. And like it's just different cultures, right? So like the Thunder is the friend group, lots of smiles, great
Oh yeah,
defense, right? There's
amazing
such a
identity.
culture. Yeah. I don't even know what the Pelicans culture is besides Zion's off the court antics and him like overeating and be 300 pounds. I like
Dude, they have
they
no culture,
they
dude.
have no culture. They have zero culture, and that like it feels like those garbage time teams that people go to just waste out the rest of their career. And so, not only to be on that team, I mean, like we have this team, right? And they're made of these players that have no culture and clearly no drive. It seems like no drive to play. And then you add in this boneheaded move that completely destroys next year's chance at a first like oh how do these people have jobs? How do these
I don't
GMs have
know. Like, actually, it's funny you mention that. I think that the new Pelicans GM is the former Pistons GM who like destroyed their franchise.
oh mid to mid.
And
Okay.
yeah. So, but yeah, the Pelicans. Dejounte Murray injured. Jordan Poole a bum. Trey Murphy, he's great. Trey Murphy might be the most valuable player on the team right now. He could be a borderline all-star. If I were a competitive team, I would try to trade for that dude. He's like a 23 point per game type scorer. Great guy. Zion, dude, I keep saying for every player like Zion, like this is the year. Like this has to be the year where he proves himself. Like LaMelo, you're on the chopping block. Trae Young, right now, you got every opportunity. You're on the chopping block. I don't even know what to say for Zion anymore. Like I've given
He's
him too many.
25.
I've given
Remember when
him
he
too
was
many
19?
chances.
Do you remember when he was 19 and there was all the hype coming into the league about how he was going to change the game? And
One of
we
the
thought he was going
most
to be the
hyped
next LeBron.
prospects.
Yeah.
Cooper Flag was definitely the most hyped prospect since Zion.
Yeah.
It's hard to skip over Zion, like for a lot of those conversations. Um,
Oh,
dude, I don't
just
know. Like,
yeah, I don't know either.
and I like Zion, and I love when he's healthy. And he somehow, despite all of his antics that you mentioned, he still hops like a demon and can get those incredible highlights. And I hope he locks in, dude. But they have other cool players like Yves Messi, who is might most likely start at center, and they have Derek Queen behind him, and they have Herb Jones and Loon
Kevon
Dog.
Looney.
Yeah, Loon Dog. So I guess they have three centers too. So that, none of them are like great, but like they have a few real ones. Um, but yeah, I don't have any strong thoughts on the Pelicans. I'm just embarrassed for their fans,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Jordan, maybe some Jordan Poole, Kevin Looney, old Warriors. I don't even know. I'm trying to give them credit. I can't. There's nothing to be
yeah.
said.
I wouldn't either, and I think that the giving up the pick is the most egregious like front office move in the last month, even more so
Yeah.
than whatever the Bucks have been doing. Like that could cost them so much, and also the Hawks that could be a franchise altering move for them. So
Yeah.
I just find that fascinating.
Yeah.
All right, we got something serious to talk about now. The last like serious team before we hit the final lingering teams, the Golden State Warriors. Rajan Rao.
Dang, government name and everything.
I have to say the government name, Rajan, because the Warriors have done nothing. Nothing.
Zero.
You know what they've done? They've let
Nothing.
Kevon Looney leave. They said bye-bye.
That's
And
fine. That's fine. I'm actually okay with that. But they should have. Yeah.
okay,
Continue.
sure,
Continue.
that's
Continue.
fine.
Continue.
They brought in no one. They're the only team they didn't re-sign or add anyone.
Yeah.
No one. They drafted people. For example, they drafted Will Richard, Florida Gator legend, who just won too. They drafted him at 56. I hope he plays. That's exciting. And guess what? You know, the Warriors have played real guys like Santos and Quentin Post, who both were drafted in the late second round in their real NBA minutes. So that's why I'm actually hoping Will Richard gets real minutes. Like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty glad he was drafted there and gets to learn from Steph
I
and
actually
whatever.
think Guy Santos is one of the most underrated players in the league. Like he
That's
is.
a
He is.
great voice choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. The interesting news about the Warriors is that they may or may not lose Kuminga in restricted free agency, which is going on right now. They're mid teams all around the league. Like, look at the teams I'm highlighting: the Kings, Heat, and Bulls. Like, these are the play-in Warriors who might be interested in Kuminga.
Right.
And but
Warriors.
oh,
Okay.
but it's like I don't know what his value is, and I think that the market is starting to adjust itself in the NBA, and I think that there's so many bad contracts in the league that as soon as you overpay Jonathan Kuminga, he becomes one of the worst contracts in the NBA. And
Right.
he's a good enough player, but he's not really a starter on their team right now, right? He has to play
Yeah.
behind Butler and Draymond, and so
And Buddy Hield now too. I the only thing that makes sense would be the Bucks because having that like small
yeah,
forward, I
he would fit well with Giannis. I give you that, but I don't. I think there are worse teams that'd be willing to pay him more.
yeah,
And at some point, the Warriors shouldn't match the salary. But we actually don't really have very serious news on that. So the Dagger will have to come at y'all later with more Kuminga news as it gets more serious. That probably will change more as the season starts.
for sure.
Um, yeah,
Well, let me just say like this keeps happening. We have avoided going after a quality center for so many years, and we've made it work. The championship team, actually, I can't even say that. The championship winning team in 2015 had Andrew Bogut and David Lee as two solid big men that allowed Steph to space the floor. We always talk about spacing the floor as a job for like the threes and the fours of the league that are slashers but can also shoot. So they spread out the floor because they're a threat from both sides, right? But you can't I think the Warriors are the opposite of the problem where they only have this like 3-point shooting and minimal driving offense. They don't have anybody that's a real paint dominator on the offensive end, nor do they have a real shot blocker besides Draymond's, of course, incredible defensive efforts, but he is not a shot blocker. He is literally 6 feet 7 inches tall. He is not the type of guy that you need to be in the paint to be in the NBA right now. Any of the last, couple of years, even I would say the last decade of teams that have won the finals have had at least one like bruising center, like even OKC, they're a pretty short lineup with a lot of like defensive capabilities from shorter guys that just hustle, but they have 2 7-footers on their team or close to 7-footers, Chet and Isaiah. So this like Warriors like standstill, they need to be going after somebody. We have on the list here Al Horford is a good option. I think you're completely right. Al Horford would be a great like
yeah,
veteran person that can be that big man, but he's also not that tall. And I think that I am like hoping, I mean, there's not any other really tall centers in the league left available for the Warriors to sign.
yeah. I think Brook Lopez before he signed with the Clippers, some people were like, "Yo, he's got to go to the Warriors," and
That would have been a
they
great.
dropped the ball on that. So
Yeah, that's just frustration, because clearly you keep seeing the same problem, which is that you guys' defense is terrible, and a big man in the middle always helps with that. And allowing someone as quality as Brook Lopez to walk in these waning years of Steph and Draymond being in the league, even Jimmy as well,
yep.
that's disappointing.
It sure is. A lot of people around the league thinks Horford going to the Warriors is pretty set in stone. It's kind of like he's either going to retire or go to Golden State. Which
Maybe
is
like
an
a
improvement.
1 year deal. Yeah,
Yeah, it will be a 1 year deal. I mean, there were talks about him going to the Lakers, but I think since getting Laravia and Ayton, he's not gonna go there anymore.
oh,
I love Horford so much, and I will. I like the Warrior. I don't love the Warriors, but like a team with him and Steph, like I will enjoy watching them. But
if we
I'm
oh, sorry,
sorry.
go ahead.
No, you can add whatever
I
you're
was
gonna
gonna
say.
just say, if we had gone for DeAndre Ayton, this like I would have been so hype about this team. Seriously.
Yeah, Ayton would have fit well too. I listed other names of like guys who are free agent targets. Um, Malcolm Brogdon doesn't really excite me too much. GP2, I don't know where he is right now. He was on the Warriors. But yeah, the couple names out there. Steph's little bro, Seth Curry, and NBA legend Ben Simmons, my personal greatest of all time. But um, I don't know who gave that report, but it doesn't really fascinate me. Um, anyway, I will say, Rajan, the Warriors have their own first round pick. If they're bad, they'll get someone. Um, Post All Star break, They had the best defensive rating and they had the most steals in the NBA. Like,
Yeah.
there's things to be excited about with this team with Jimmy. They beat the Rockets. That's great. But they lost to the Timberwolves too, and swiftly. And to be fair, Curry did not play that entire series for the most part. And so, my final question to you is, what is their window? And because I'm not going to answer for you. Go ahead.
I think as long as Steph Curry is with Draymond, there's a window. But I would argue that if Draymond or Steph leaves one without the other, there's no way it'll happen. This era of the Warriors has been defined as a small ball, obviously incredibly shooting team, with some real like fear mongers with Draymond. That's the right word, but my point is, I don't think Steph will be able to operate at a level that would be a championship winning level on the Warriors without Draymond. I think he is as essential to their success than Steph is in a different way. And so the window is, how long can you keep them together with decent pieces around them? And if the pieces around them are also no longer so great, and all of a sudden Jimmy's getting to the end of his career, doesn't want to play anymore, Buddy Hield is not the same player that we once thought he was going to be or once was, then it's like, okay, maybe you let Steph and Draymond finish their career here and just start getting capital for the future. And maybe in that sense, then you just keep Kuminga, because I really believe that Kuminga could be a great 25 points per game scorer if he grows the right way, but he's just not there yet. Maybe giving him some more, and Gui Santos as well. They have some like young guys that I could see in the future, like seriously being not the next Steph and Draymond, because no one will be them, but at least something to look forward to. But it's hard to say. I would say, to give you like a proper answer, I would say the window is no more than 3 years long. I don't see Steph playing until he's.
You think
It's
Steph is
probably a little bit
playing
less.
3 more years?
I was about to say maybe 2. Maybe this next year is the only year. Steph's 36 right now, I think. I believe he's 36. So,
He's actually 37.
oh geez, okay, maybe only 1 year then. Draymond's about 35. I know he's a couple years younger than Steph. It's just hard. I mean, like, you can't tell. We don't know how Steph's responds to injury.
Curry, he signed an extension, so that was 1 year, which means that he has 2 years left. I think he might retire in 2
Yeah.
years. And my answer is no. These next 2 years, they have no chance at winning a championship with Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler, because the West is too good.
Yeah.
And they're not going to beat a team with Jokic.
Sorry, when you said window, I meant as in like they would try. But you're right. There's zero chance.
Yeah, I agree with your answer in terms they will be competitive. They should be competitive. They owe it to Steph to try until the
Wheels fall off.
Yeah, I don't want to say, I hate that phrase because I don't want to sound like until he gets injured or he's so much worse. Steph is like legitimately a top 10 guy in the NBA still now, and he's 37, and like they owe it to him to try, like I said. So
yeah,
exciting
it's
to see.
Sad, man.
They'll be in the playoffs, but I don't. We talked about the top 3-4 teams. I don't think they'll be making it that far. So
yeah. End of an era soon, but
yeah. All right, so we've talked about 8 teams. We have 7 left, but we're gonna spend 30 seconds to a minute on all of them because we don't have serious discussions for any of them. All right.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so let's talk about the Kings. The Kings added Dennis Schroeder and Dario Saric. Whoa. They way overpaid Dennis Schroeder. I mean, you want to talk about guys who have been getting or we've been figuring out how the market works, what players are worth. The Dennis Schroeder signed a contract that was 3 years and almost $45 million. The dude is not worth $15 million a year. Oh my God.
Nowhere near.
He's okay, but he's like a second string point guard at best.
And there's a reason he's been moved around so much. He's been on, this is his 9th team.
Ninth team, really? Yeah. Okay, there you go. They lost Laravia, who was one of their interesting pieces. They drafted Nick Clifford out of Colorado State, who I definitely like. It's just nasty. Okay, they have their own first round pick. They're not going to make the play in. They're not good enough to do that. But they, as I was talking about, teams that are competitive. Somehow, some way, they still have the Chicago Bulls, Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, and Sabonis, and it's instead of Vucevic, and Keegan Murray, who's gotten worse, and Malik Monk, who is interesting, but people don't care about the guy anymore. And then, I mean, I'm looking at the bench lineup right now. As much as I like Keon Ellis, like that's the worst bench in the NBA. So, like, this team is terrible, and I think they need to blow it up now. Like,
yes,
as soon
today.
as possible.
Hit
Ship
the TNT.
out.
Boom.
No, yeah, this is a team. We talk about the Clippers. They think they're Clippers, bro. They think, yeah, let's stay competitive, bro. We got Sabonis and Zach LaVine. Like, we can
and
do
DeMar,
this.
my mid-range king.
We can do this, man. We can lose in the play-in. We can do this. And no, they need to hit the button, the red button right now. Get rid of LaVine and DeRozan. I don't know why they ever traded for either of them. Get rid of Sabonis, maybe. If you want to keep Sabonis, it's fine.
Don't keep Sabonis. Don't make him ruin his career on a crappy team. Let him go to a contender.
Yeah, sure. You could build a good team around Sabonis, but it's just unbelievable to think about that Beam team and the team with Fox and Halliburton and their unbelievably tragic fall from grace. And I couldn't. How do you describe the emotional state of a kid living in California one day who, I wonder if it's like draft day where you get to pick whether you're a Warriors, Lakers, Clippers, and Kings fan. And somebody's like, you know what? I like purple. I'm going to pick the Kings. And here they are.
This is your roster.
They've never rooted for anything good in their life.
Oh. No, also, it's like, who lives in Sacramento? No offense to any of our Sacramento listeners. I'm sure there's tons of you out there.
Oh, no. The Sacramento market of the dagger has been lost.
Anyway, yeah, you guys call your, you know how people say, call your political leaders, call the owner as fast as you can and tell him to blow up the franchise.
And the thing is, too, dude, that the 2026 draft is said to be really good. Like, very good. Even arguably better than this year, which was very good. And so I think the Kings, like, they're too good to tank successfully. Like, they gotta stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or the Thunder are going to get all the good picks again.
Facts. Next team, the Portland Trailblazers.
The Portland Gulag.
Yeah, I don't know, the final destination of a bunch of teams or a bunch of players. They have Drew Holiday from my Celtics. They lose Anthony Simons, and DeAndre Ayton, who were both okay pieces of their team last year. The most interesting thing they've done actually is they've drafted Young Hansen at 16, who people are calling the Chinese Jokic if you've seen any of his highlights.
Yes.
They're actually quite fascinating. Like,
yes.
Holy,
yes,
it was an unbelievable reach because Young was projected as a mid-second round pick, and the Blazers traded down 5 spots from 11 to 16, and they took him at 16. And I think they probably could have drafted him like 25. But I think they were so excited by his tape that they were like, we cannot risk absolutely anything. He's been great in the summer league.
Yeah.
But he also just could be a guy that does not work in the NBA. But he's clearly a really, really good passer. And I think they're a play-in team. I think they're better than the Kings.
Agreed.
I'm very confident about that. Because you just look at how well-rounded their roster is. Holiday, Sharp, Denny Avdia, who's going to keep getting better. Jeremy Grant. Grant and Holiday are both like, they're like, I don't want to be here. But they're both vets who will help the rest of the team. Donovan Clingan and Robert Williams and Young Hansen. That's a fantastic front court rotation. Chris Murray, Matisse Thybulle, too many cameras, Tumani Kamara, and Scoot Henderson. Like, Scoot Henderson. This is a great team. And if I were a Trailblazers fan, I would be excited. Like we talked about the Wizards. This is a good team that will get better. And, yeah. So, you agree with me? You're excited about it?
I completely agree with you. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing much to be said. They have a much brighter future than these other West teams that are trying too hard to do both.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, they own their own pick if it's in the lottery. So if I were them, I know that they're going to try to compete. I don't think they'll be a playoff team, but for their sake, I hope they don't make it to the playoffs because
Yeah,
if they're bottom 7, then they get to keep their pick. So, um, yeah, good for
yeah.
Blazers. All right,
The
yeah, you want to talk
Oklahoma
about the
City.
Thunder?
Yeah, let's do it. Um, this is just going to be an even scarier team. They are they are just set up for success. SGA just signed or re-signed with a 4-year, $285 million contract. Um, it's like what you said earlier, right? He wanted to take the money and does not risk that he might get injured and not be able to get a bigger contract next year.
Yeah,
Um,
he
so
could have probably signed for 75 million each if he waited a year, but he
yeah,
could ruin his career in that year. So
yeah, smart. I mean, at that point, the millions are just it's all so much money. And then I see here J Dub and Chet max rookie extensions each could reach up to 5 for 250 million. This is just this is the classic, like a perfect example of how to take a franchise that had a run for 5 years in the early 2010s and get them back to winning the finals within 10 years. I mean, like textbook, they still have all their picks. They literally have other teams' picks in addition to their own first round picks next year and the year after. And I believe the year after that as well. They are completely set up.
yeah,
There's not much to be said other than that they didn't lose anybody. They just re-signed people. And I mean, how do you beat that? You telling me this team that just won 68 games is all together again and they're a year older? Like that
yeah.
and now they have the experience of winning a championship.
Yeah, championship DNA, unbelievable. Still title favorites. I will say that the Thunder having to sign J-Dub, Chet, and Shea to max extensions is scary because it means that in I think 2 years' time, the summer of 2027, they're going to be staring at those paychecks and the second apron. Um, but guess what? The
If
way
they
you
win
get
2 rings, it doesn't matter.
yeah, there's a couple things. One, if you win the championships, it's worth it and they will pay the bill. But the second thing is if they want to stay competitive, you know how you do that? You trade players and picks to rebuild with younger and cheaper contracts. Guess what they have? An
Lots of
unbelievable
picks.
unbelievable assortment of picks, the most possible, frankly. And so they're so well equipped to retool when necessary. And if they end up trading Chet or J Dub down the line, because they're too expensive, they have so many picks that they could get young, cheaper players on their rookie contracts to compete again. And so, assuming health and other things stay the same, they're in an even better situation than the Celtics were, and they have an even longer window. So, yeah, they're not going anywhere.
Yep. Unfortunately,
Yeah, what's the next team?
the Mavs.
Yeah, so the Mavs are cool. They re-signed Kyrie, who's dealing with his injury, and they add D'Lo and Dante Exum, or it was a re-signing for Dante to fit that role while Kyrie's gone. They re-signed Daniel Gafford, and they draft Cooper Flag. Obviously, whatever, they got him. Who cares? We got to move on. Um, so yeah, my question is for you, Rajan. The last number one overall pick to actually make the playoffs after the team was terrible was Markel Fultz with the Sixers. So, do you think that the Mavs would be good enough to make the playoffs? And could Flag be
Uh
the first guy since the him?
if they are win the are we talking playoffs or play in?
Playoff, like top 8.
Okay. So I'm gonna give you 6 teams that are for sure making it above them.
Go ahead.
OKC, Houston, LA, Denver, Minnesota. Easily.
Facts. I agree. I actually agree that those are the top 6 as well.
Yep. Um, okay. And it's the same top 6 as this past year. That's, you know,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Okay.
that's where I got the list from.
That was easy.
Yeah. Okay. I'm taking, it gets hard here because the Spurs were awful this past year statistically, but we know that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with a healthy Wemby and De'Aaron Fox. So obviously, I'm putting the Spurs above them.
You got the Spurs over the Mavs. Okay.
And then after that,
What if
it's a little bit
I would
harder to
I would
say.
ask you really if you would have the Dubs over them.
No, I had no confidence in the Dubs anymore.
Okay.
Another season went by. I mean, I know our defensive rating in the second half was great, but if you watch any of the games, you can clearly see that the biggest problem is that our interior defense is terrible, and we didn't do anything to help get rid of that problem. So I don't
Okay.
see the Dubs. The Dubs didn't improve, and the Mavs did improve. Maybe they get to 8. So they play in and they win. Hopefully for them. Do you see anybody else getting to that area besides them? Maybe Memphis.
I think Memphis is the only other team. I think the Blazers obviously will be sneaky good, but I think the Mavericks are probably better than both of them. So, yeah, I think the Mavericks can make the playoffs. And in
Yeah.
fact, they actually have one of the higher title odds. I think they're top 8 for sure. I don't remember, but not title odds, Western Conference odds.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Though they're in a good situation for the future. So
Yeah.
don't worry
They
too much about it.
basically the Nico Harrison. I mean, obviously it wasn't him that unless he rigged the lottery, but it ended up working out for them. I mean, if I was a fan, I'd be going from crazy mad to slightly less mad.
Facts. I agree.
So, yeah. Speaking of teams that are going to be take a major step forward, is the Spurs.
Yeah. Spurs. Their major move was taking away Luke Cornett from my Celtics, who's a really strong quality center behind Wemby. They also brought in former Celtic Kelly Olynyk. I'm really proud of Olynyk. How long he stayed in the league, bro. Olynyk was
I know.
he was like a really young on the teams that the first Celtics teams I cared about in 2013 when we were just terrible. And
then he had a stint in Miami too, right, with LeBron.
I don't even remember what teams he played for.
I
All in
believe he
between.
was there shortly before LeBron left.
I know he played for the Pistons for a little bit and the Raptors. Oh yeah, you're totally right. Oh no, he did not overlap with LeBron, but he was
Oh, my bad.
on the Heat. So
Yes.
yeah, he was there before the bubble. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, good for Kelly, and now he gets to be on a The Spurs are not contenders yet, but they are. They have the brightest future in the NBA. I think I can say that pretty safely because Wemby alone gave them like a top 5 bright future. But they drafted Dylan Harper, who was the best guard prospect in the draft, and who, if they
Has
had
been.
known they would get to draft Dylan Harper, they wouldn't have traded for Fox. I don't think they would have. But they have both now. It's okay.
It works out. Yeah.
It works out. You get to have this amazing lineup with both of them. Carter Bryant, they drafted at 14, who many people were like, "What? You let who fall to the Spurs?" Like that's a
Sorry.
Low bro did not silence his phone for the dagger. Anyway, Carter Bryant, who has played extremely well in summer league thus far, just such a bright future, dude. And
Yeah.
again, I don't know if they'll make the playoffs this year. I think they'll be competitive. Or they might. But they will be winning a lot of games. And Wemby for DPOY, that's a safe pick right now. Put that in.
And Dylan Harper might make an all-defensive team as well. I saw the craziest block from him. I'm not sure what day it was this week, but like jumping so high, head near the rim, like, oh my god,
he's
just
a beast.
pure athleticism. So
could be the best duo in the NBA. Give it 5 years.
Give it 5 years. Yeah.
All right. Final thoughts about these two teams.
Ugh.
The
Who you wanna go
Grizzlies.
first? Yeah, Grizzlies. Okay.
I'll just say the Grizzlies. They added KCP, Ty Jerome, Jock Landale. They also added Cole Anthony when they traded Desmond Bane away, but they just bought him out, so he got to go to Milwaukee, which we didn't get to talk about, but good for Cole, yay! And they draft Cedric Howard, who will be a great fit with their lineup. They're just a solid team in a stacked West, and they're gonna retry again with new guys around Triple J and Ja, who are their two main dudes who they're sticking with. But again, not interesting at all. And if you want to talk about contenders,
I will say though, this is another team that I like the Clippers. I think the better option like this is to keep going with this group instead of trying to rebuild. This is definitely like one that you should keep going with. I think this is,
I agree.
they're doing fine. They're gonna have JJJ. They're gonna have Ja. Hopefully not shooting anything but basketballs, and they'll be good. And they'll have a culture there of a just a cool vibe. It's a cool. You never know what you're gonna get with them, which is cool.
I like what they're building too, and they have a couple of cool young players. So
yeah.
and then
And
finally the T-Wolves.
weird, man. It feels like they're not quite there, but they are on paper, but they're not.
Yeah, the Timberwolves are one of the most talented teams in the NBA. They've made the conference finals twice. They brought back Julius Randle on a very, very large contract, but I think it's worth it. Naz Reid, Joe Ingles. Their biggest loss was they lost Nickeil Alexander-Walker to the Hawks, and so but to fill that role, fortunately, they have guys on the bench that I think will be able to fill it here and there, mostly more minutes from guys like Jalen Clark and Terrence Shannon Jr. And I don't have too many thoughts on the Timberwolves though because they haven't changed too much. I think they're still a top 6 team in the West. Like you just read the contenders. I think they're kind of similar to the Clippers and Lakers in that second tier of West contenders. But I don't know. We saw Anthony Edwards get so much better in between the last 2 seasons, like in terms of his 3-point shot especially.
Yeah.
Like if he does that again, he will be playing at an MVP level, and any team with that level player is a championship contender by default. So
and he has a supporting cast that could do it. He has Naz Reid, he has Dante DiVincenzo, he has Jaden McDaniels.
They need a better playmaker than Mike Conley, and I love Mike Conley. We all do, but hopefully Dillingham gets more of that.
Yeah.
That's why Bradley Beal, by the way, they mentioned this is a spot for him. I don't want them to sign him, but it's a on paper good fit.
As a last thing, real quick, what would you have thought of like Colin Sexton to the T-Wolves type of move?
Yeah, that would have been good too when we were talking about Sexton possibilities. I could have seen that, but to be honest, I would have preferred a more pass first kind of dude. Sexton is the kind of like scoring first point guard. The Timberwolves just need a better assist to turnover ratio kind of guy. But honestly, that is Mike Conley. So I got to give full credit to Mike Conley. I just want someone a bit younger who also scores a bit more. So, but yeah, they'll be good. We'll talk about the contenders in the NBA soon. What other episode ideas should we be doing soon, Rajan?
We got an NFL one that's long overdue. We're gonna do.
Yeah. When was the last time we talked about the NFL, man? We got to get back.
It's been at least 2 or 3 months. We haven't not even done a free agency one yet, so we'll get to that. Probably in the next week or so. We'll do over unders for win totals for each division. Talk about who we want to see win the championship, who we think might be a dark horse. All your favorite NFL. Things, because we never got to cover free agency because of the NBA season. So
and the NFL draft too, and lingering NBA thoughts as the offseason continues.
And if any other trades happen,
other trades, summer league. I mean, but again, these are like the dead months of the NBA. We got a few months, and so hopefully we'll bring on guests, do a live stream. Should be fun, man. We're here to have some fun before our we got to lock in when the seasons get busy. So.
And expect to see potentially a in-person Dagger episode coming to you soon.
I want to do that, dude, too.
I'm excited. It'll be fun.
But yeah, thank you for this long convo, Rajan. We never can seem to keep it short, can we?
It's always got to be so long.
That's our biggest skill to practice. So if you're listening, thank you very much, and make sure to continue listening on Spotify or YouTube, and follow us on Instagram and X, and we'll be posting and updating y'all and having a good time.
Yeehaw. All right,
whatever
y'all.
that was.
Take care. Have a good night then.
Have a good night.